industry on parade. A pictorial review of events in business and industry, produced each week by the National Association of Manufacturers.
At the San Leandro, California plant of General Food Corporation, a vigorous sprucing up is in progress. Although this is the very newest of the company's installations, the people of General Foods go over it like so many proud homemakers expecting important visitors. And that just happens to be the case. For the plant is about to have its first open house for a lot of very important people. Its California neighbors, its shareholders, the families of its employees, and the people on whom it is most dependent, its customers. Everyone connected with the San Leandro plant wants the company to be understood and accepted like the products, it turns out. And just as products are displayed in order to gain acceptance, so is this Maxwell House and Jello plant itself put on public view. Plant manager Win Lawson does the honors at the front door. Starting in the green coffee storage area, the guests see more than 4 million pounds of coffee from 6 different countries waiting to be blended, roasted, ground, and packed. So many sacks of high grown from Salvador, so many Medellins from Colombia, so much Santos from Brazil. So much of this and so much of that goes into the hopper. Then it's a quick ride upstairs to the big rotary mixers that ensure uniformity of blend. The visitors are impressed by the way the roaster man can tell that the coffee's just right by its color. What an aroma fills this room. From the roaster, the coffee will go next into the cooling pan, where the stirring of the big paddles, together with air drawn through the bottom, will cool the coffee enough for grinding. But of all the operations in the plant, the one that holds the greatest fascination for everybody is the parade of cans being trundled along by conveyors. The bright, clean cans disappearing empty. And coming out full, each bearing its full pound of fresh, fragrant coffee. The ones who give the plant a close inspection are the people who own shares in the company, and they get a better realization that they have risked their money not in just a piece of industrial property, but in a living thing made up of people. One big center of interest is Homer Haverstadt, the coffee taster, who brews and tastes samples from every batch. Homer's an acknowledged master of a difficult art, and every last drop must meet his high standards. Perhaps the most distinguished visitor to come calling is Governor Warren. The second part of the plant visit reveals how Jello products are made. Though much of the operation is carried on out of sight in great stainless steel hoppers and gleaming machines, the packaging of the various puddings does make a fascinating picture. Mechanical hands flip the full envelopes over and tuck them in their boxes as the endless stream goes merrily on its way. It's a good show, American industry at work. But more than that, this open house helps demonstrate to the people of San Leandro that a good industrial citizen has come to settle here. Everybody likes free samples, and each guest receives a bag full. The men and women of General Foods get the biggest kick out of the younger visitors. For though the people of the company know they have a plant that's big and fine and wonderful, no one can say it half as well as the kids do, with their eyes and mouths.
It takes a lot of money these days to start a business and to keep it going. Most people naturally can't afford to buy tools needed for modern mass production. But millions of people, through the investment of their savings in stocks and bonds, can and do buy them. Recent studies indicate that it takes an average investment of more than $11,000 to create a job. Investment in building space, supplies, power tools, and all the other things a factory workman needs. Today, there are 14 million shareholders, Americans in all walks of life, who own shares in those tools through their investments in American business and industrial corporations.
Ever since the first street railway was introduced in this country in 1827, there's been the problem of collecting fares. Many methods were tried, but most failed. And in solving the problem with the fare box we know today, the Johnson Fare Box Company of Chicago acquired know-how that enabled it to go on and solve scores of other coin handling problems. In stores, banks, theaters and other amusement centers, in subway stations, everywhere you turn, you'll find people involved in receiving or dispensing, counting and recording great quantities of small change. And that's why the Johnson Fare Box Company is in business. Using the skills it first developed in perfecting a workable fare box early in the century, the firm went on to produce machines that can do just about anything with a coin, except make it buy what it bought in 1939. The machines turned out must be precision instruments, or entire organizations will accept the readings on the register without question. Though they're extremely complex inside, the sorters, counters, change makers, and other machines must be extremely simple in their operation. Simple, accurate, fast, and reliable. So this late model fare box, for instance, goes through many a test at the factory to make sure it'll perform as it should when put to work. After passing all the tests, the mechanism is hidden away in its case. On goes the glass top, and then they try it out once more. Another familiar sight on transit lines is also produced here, the belt-type money changer. A little more complicated is the firm's machine for making coin wrappers, open-end paper tubes for coins of all denominations. But most complicated of all is a combination counting and packaging machine Johnson made for the Federal Reserve Bank system. Dumped in the hopper, the coins are taken by elevator to the device that counts them and passes them along to be deposited in the paper containers at a speed that's amazing. Out drop the filled containers with never a mistake. Yes, a lot of hours once wasted on the tedious, time-consuming job of handling thousands of coins can now be put to better use. The research that has brought machines that take more and more of the work out of coin handling may yet produce the ultimate, a device that will take the money right out of your pocket and leave behind the right change.
At his desk in Westfield, Massachusetts, sits Mr. Frank Stanley Beveridge, a man who quit his job at 50 in the depths of the Depression to found a new industry, Stanley Home Products. While the firm makes more than 150 items, marketed through its own home party plan, our cameras concentrate on just one, a mop. The yarn here being cut is cotton covered with tough, thirsty cellulose sponge. The yarn goes into a steam cabinet briefly to make the strands more pliable and easier to handle. Here's how the yarns are bound together and the mop head given its shape. 4 miles of steel wire are used each day just in this one operation. A mop seems like a simple thing, but like any product, if it's to be produced cheaply and well, better, easier ways of doing the job must constantly be sought. Machines can help speed up the operation and make it easier. And just to manufacture a mop, Stanley Home Products uses dozens. How much better than if she had to slam down the stapler by hand? So So the mop is ready for business, or will be when it gets its handle. In a single 8-hour day, the factory here at East Hampton transforms 9 miles of steel tubing into 12,000 handles. When connectors are added, the handles are ready for the attachment of the mop. By devoting as much attention to all their products, the production staff has grown to 1,000. Among them, Miss Catherine O'Brien, who started out in 1931 selling the products door to door and was recently named president of the company.
In a way, inflation is much like adding water to a pan of soup to make it stretch further. It may look like a great deal more, but the flavor just disappears. Our government has been doing much the same thing. It has been pumping more dollars into our economy than there were goods available to buy. The result, inflation, and a dollar that still looks like a dollar but is worth only 53 cents when you go to spend or save it. The sensible way to curb inflation is to eliminate all unnecessary federal spending, restrict private and public credit from feeding the inflationary stream, and collect $1 in taxes for every dollar that must be spent for national defense.
Ever seen this sleek model come rolling down the street? Probably not, for it's the only one of its kind, a $350,000 laboratory on wheels. General Motors built the experimental model called the Sabre to test new ideas in automotive design, like a 300 horsepower engine that'll take the car along at 180 miles an hour. There are 60 gauges and controls to watch. Warning, do not exceed 7,000 RPMs. Here are the headlights. The exhaust is part of the rear fenders, and you can't miss Le Sabre's stoplights. Here's where the fuel goes, and changing a tire has been made practically a pleasure, for next to each wheel is a built-in jack that works at the flick of a finger. Scores of innovations are built into this amazing sports car, including a mechanism for closing the top automatically when it rains. This mechanism responds to a single drop of water. Harley Earl, vice president in charge of styling at General Motors, explains that Le Sabre is the car of the future only in the sense that features that prove sound will be incorporated in future GM models. The lines of an earlier experimental model built in 1938 are duplicated almost exactly in the current Buick. The top may be partially open to ease the way in getting in or out. Despite its size and all the extras it carries, the car weighs only 3,000 pounds. For cast magnesium and sheet aluminum replace the heavier steel found in conventional models. It's a car we may never enjoy ourselves, but it'll bring many new features to the cars we do enjoy.